otherwise I would have gone absolutely, you know, I just don't know what I would have done. It would have just gone from bad to worse, and it would have been a very, very poor situation and outcome for us as a family, because I just couldn't carry on doing what I was doing. I didn't know what needed to change until my friend took me through the past stuff and I thought about it. And it was the dream that showed me what was really needed to be tackled, and it was about space, about my personal space and how much space other people gave me, and whether I actually ever had personal space that was mine and just mine for a wee while in every day. And I came to understand that my dream is on the desert island. Very, very clearly. I do have George Clooney in there, but he's always stood behind me. And I just go like that, and he comes and gives me a big martini, and then I turn to go away again.
Can I just make a guess? I just wonder how many of the mental health professionals in this room that their dream included a bit more personal space. And I wonder if there's something similar for people using services. Something right. Okay.
I'm very pleased to hear it tonight. Doesn't feel like anybody else's been. Okay, yeah, so do you want to spend the last few minutes throwing it over? I do have another slide, but I'll just keep it at the end.
Okay.
These are in your packs anyway, so some things to think about, some pitfalls. Time to plan what we need to do, and these are, again, like I say, it's in your packs, so you can have a look through. And safeguarding, starting small, investing in facilitators, that's the stuff we've just been talking about, responding positively to opportunities, discussion, uncertainties, conflicts, ironing out the things that people find challenging, and celebrating change. Celebrating change just as an ending note. Please remember to do it, because it's one of the things that person-centered planning says, or person-centered approach says celebrate. So it would be pointless for us to be doing something different and actually, you know, really getting to grips with what's important to people and never getting to celebrate change with that brings. Okay.
Thank you. We've got a few minutes left. I'd really like to hear from you. You know, I've got a ton of, I could talk forever, even when I'm as tired as I am right now, so tripping around the country all week. But I would really like to hear what you think, and I'd really like to sit down. So, talk. Silence. What have people been feeling during the day? What have you left with? What thoughts, feelings have you got?
About bloody time.
Sorry?
About bloody time.
Say what you mean?
I don't think you did.
What you were saying earlier, just after lunch, about the process of this starting many years ago.
Oh, right.
You know, why is it taking so long for us to reach? Maybe it's the right time, the right place. But you know, wouldn't this have been nice if it had happened a long time ago? And you know, one of the conversations I had today was about who should be here. And it's, you know, that really I, as a sort of part of services, was more important for me to be here. And I totally disagree. You know, without the input from service users or ex-service users, you know, telling us what they actually require, we're not going to go anywhere, because we just offer a package of what we feel is right. And again, it's what we would feel is right, not what is actually right for the individual.
Go on, Frankie.
Follow your dreams. That's what I've taken notes of.
This has been integrated into the training program for consultants.
Go on, Geraldine, you answer that one. We were talking a bit about this earlier.
Yeah, no, one of the things that Fabian and I were talking about, I think my biggest dream, besides the dream to have a fantastic building folder on the for the ACT team, is basically to have an agreed multi-agency, multidisciplinary training strategy in Bromley. One of the enormous frustrations is that we don't have a training strategy, and we don't actually have a training budget, and we don't actually have agreed who's going to come and do the training. And I would love to think that, you know, hopefully by Christmas it would be possible a day in the week, you know, whether it's a Wednesday afternoon or a Thursday afternoon, where actually we
the service users
Starts to sound silly after a while.
it does, doesn't it? I'm not really human on that, but we all know that anybody says that it's nervous. I would really like to get involved with helping people develop plans. Mainly because I work mainly as secretary and trying to get a service user to express an opinion about the coffee department. Whether they have tea is a whole new challenge. So I see this as a really good way of getting close to people and trying to find out what it is they really do. And if ever a place needed changing, it's the service user community and secretary. There's just, me, as an outsider going in, it's just overall atmosphere apathy. Like, we're just born to accept how this is what we were classed on. And, on service users, that's everything. But most of them don't even call themselves service users, that's what I find more scary. Well, they are the mindset of innovation, really. So, anyway, ignore that. I think it's a really good tool to really start to find out what people think and what they want to do to change or leave their life. And so I'm the kids to get involved.
Just a question out of that. Was it coffee with caffeine in it or decaf?
Oh, we'll get that far.
Still, I hope it's decaf.
What the service is probably a day, I felt on and off during the whole day, and this whole meeting is geared towards the professionals, not service users. And I want to know service users could get more involved.
Can you tell us why?
I don't know, I felt that you yourself and the lady were more geared towards the professionals and the people that help people to help them, rather than the people who are suffering.
It's really interesting.
Maybe I'll leave it at home.
No. I'm really wanting to think about that. Does anybody else feel the same?
I think Maureen felt the same. We were in the group at the front here, and we were part of it in the beginning, and then the second bit we were cut out because the chairs went round and we were left on our own. So we actually commented it to ourselves and thought, oh, we're not part of the group anymore. We're not being included in it. And that felt a bit painful, external, see. Because the chairs sort of went that way and we were sitting here and no one was sort of mentioning everything, so we were just getting involved. And we were doing one of the workshops.
Yeah, I think that's probably just a kind of a practical thing because it went into pairs working from
No,
the
it was
group.
before that.
Oh,
It was
was it?
in the beginning. It was in the beginning when we were all sitting around and we were
Yeah.
doing things.
Well,
And we had to cut off in a group of three, but in actual fact there was five of us. I joined in and then Maureen come in late, joined in with us.
So maybe that's a point about us raising our sensitivity a little bit to those kind of issues. And get rid of the
I
complexity.
suppose it made it worse because we were the service users and the three of them.
Anybody know what the proportions are in the room?
60-30.
I don't actually know. I think it's probably about 60-40 actually. But I mean, it's not something that I find terribly meaningful anymore. But you're saying
Can I just, I just think that there's an assumption on my part for when I'm delivering stuff that people who come to something like this are all on board for discovering a shared way forward. And I use the term we to include all people, whatever. And to be honest with you, I only know the difference where people have identified it to me. And by and large, it's been identified to me because people have volunteered the information. So I don't know the proportion of the room, but I suppose it's just my assumption that it's a group of people who've come along because they have an interest in how person-centred planning can be of use in people's lives, whoever those people are.
I was just questioning something you said, Fabian, when you said, what's the percentage here? And what are you saying? What's the percentage of staff and service users? But how many staff, as you know staff, are also users of service? And when you were saying, Maureen, about how she felt excluded, why should anybody else here know that you are a service user? You haven't got a service user badge.
I was saying that I felt that it was the talk itself was more geared towards the professionals.
The professionals who may also be service users.
Professional, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I certainly from my point of view, I didn't know.
That was that. It's one of those.
Nice.
I don't know what said made me feel it that way.
Thank you.
Was that something you mentioned here? I know about issues with concentration.
Yeah, I like that.
And I was at a conference the last 2 days, and a lot of service users said they felt really excluded with the language sort of things. I don't know if that's the same with it. So I didn't feel it so much, but I had felt it before.
No, I found there was no abbreviations, which thank God for that. Abbreviations. It was really good, it was understandable, but the concentration with me is just that it's a lot to take in, and you know, you wander off from that. Well, it is, and that's it.
We are on the message.
So they're all on there. We all are, yeah, always. There's no difference. And I think a very valid point from the guy's point of view, because I mean, I stand up and admit to anybody, I'm somebody that's used mental health services on an on-off basis, and that has to coincide with the fact that I'm somebody who's also had a long history of working in human services across learning disabilities, elderly care, and mental health services. So it's kind of, I just use we as a collective, we are all in this together, and I assume that people who come here come from a human interest of let's try and work a way together to get something that makes it a more reasonable way forward as opposed to opposed camps.
It remains an issue though, and it's an issue that's not been discussed a great deal locally. And there are some staff who openly say they do services to mental health. It's difficult for them, as well as it is for people using services. It's an area we need to do a bit more work on probably, but I think it's something that you can't force. It's something that comes
You've got to feel
gradually.
comfortable in sharing.
It's that word again, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, in all, I've actually enjoyed the whole day, apart from sitting on the chair all day. I've enjoyed the day. I'm not saying I was treated any different. What I'm saying is, in that particular moment, I felt a bit, put out because I felt, well, all of a sudden, I'm not in the group anymore. So, me and myself are more impaired altogether. So, that's all. That was the only time.
Let's move on from that one then. Any other comments people want to make, or questions or suggestions for how we might take things forward? I think I mentioned earlier that there's going to be focus groups over the next 2 or 3 months in each of the different life domains. But we also have to take the training on person-centred planning forward. And we could put on facilitator training, could we not? We could think about a few local people getting trained up to be able to do that training themselves.
Mentoring,
Locally.
very hands-on local support to help people.
We've got the contacts around the country to be able to do that kind of thing. And we've got a small amount of money, but I think probably just about enough to get that moving over the next 6 to 9 months. People want to be part of something like that.
That's a question more about sort of practicality of PCP. How are professionals, or legal professionals, or someone coming to you with their own PCP and saying, that's what I meant. Would you feel this person is a bit high, possibly money?
I don't know. I mean, if you said we wanted to manage Millwall, I'd be very concerned.
So do I.
I don't know. It makes your life easier. It really would. Because you know then when someone's what you're working towards. You really do. The CPA is supposed to be collaborative, but we know the reality of it. And this can be something that actually feeds into a process of somebody the service users themselves getting some out of the process that's actually meaningful. So yeah, no, I think I'd be surprised to think that some people will be initially challenged by it because staff can't fall back into the old cliches and old ways of thinking and the old art groups. But no, it's got to, if it means that what we're in it for is for people to recover and move on and find their own ways of living, which is, achieve themselves what we want to achieve for ourselves. Why would anyone be worried about that? It should be embraced, surely.
Well, that's good to hear.
I completely echo that. I think in some ways it's possible to be able to do it. Just learning that everybody knows the sense that things should be seen and not support someone. And I think even if somebody ended up in a position, I think for education staff to see someone as a person that has a vision and something they want, because I think sometimes people have assumptions that everybody else knows what else is going to happen. It's not usually simple as that.
That's exactly right. I think there's so much confusion about it is my job as that person's job.
Who knows best what you want and when yourself? It's not me. It's not Bacon. It's not Geraldine. It's not Stuart. It's not shooting. It's yourself.
It's like we know what we want, but we might need a little bit of steering in the right way to get it.
Or steering us on
Steering as well.
That's true. Yeah. That would, for me, that would be the question. Working together and looking around to people, to some extent, I feel we're sort of preaching to the converted, and there's a lot of unconverted people out there. It's how do you get to some people that are quite happy.
One possibility around that is that we have the developed partnership. At the moment, a large portion of the people who are on the mailing list for that work in services, although there are a number of service user consultants involved and other people. Would people here like to go on that list, and then you would hear about what's going on with person-centred planning, with recovery, bridge building, with these different networks that we're trying to set up. And then, at least with this group, if you wanted to come to meetings, or you wanted to communicate with other people, you'd have the list, you'd be able to do that. If you wanted materials, you'd be able to acquire those. And then you can go out and you can tell people about this stuff from personal experience. You can encourage people to come to other events. Some of us who are trying to organise the thing are going to do a certain amount of more formal ways of dealing with that, certainly within the services. I'm going to have to ask, but what's...
Sorry.
Should I not ask?
We were... I don't know.
Come on.
You were talking about, how these things grow and how, how do you spread the word and the domains and the focus groups. And we had a conversation earlier about certain issues around the sport and leisure.
Mm-hmm.
So I just whispered to Julian, so are you going to start the sport and leisure domain?
Right. Right. I thought Roy was going to do that.
Well, there you go, doing your own. I didn't know that.
Can I just ask, as a straw poll, these life domain network things, if I just very quickly say what they're about, and then if anybody wants to sign up for one straight away, they can. Or if you know someone who would like to do that. What we're going to try and do is bring together, in a bit like this really, lots of people from different areas who've got an interest. If we take sports as an example, we would just have a meeting. We get people from the leisure centres, get people from the local authority who run sports centres, get Roy, sports instructor, Julian, bridge builder who's interested in this kind of stuff, people who like sports, right? And then we talk about how to promote a welcoming environment in all of those facilities for people with mental health problems. So there'll be some... Ray, you've got a group that goes out to people in the community and tries to dispel the myths about mental illness, don't you? Right? we would want to have some sessions about that. In fact, we're doing this about education next week. Kim's just invited about 20 or 30 people. We're just having a shindig about education and mental health. And we'll take it from there. If any of you want to express an interest in any of those areas, if you've got life experience in those areas or professional interest, whether your staff or service user, in those different areas, I ask you to email me or anyone else who you know is involved in the Develop Partnership and say, I would like to do this. Or talk to a friend who you think would like to do it. And we can do it that way. You can do it by word of mouth. It's the best way. Because then people commit themselves to wanting to do stuff. So what will happen, if with your permission, we should have your addresses and emails and all that kind of business from today. We'll send something out about the existing groups. We'll also send out a request who would like to sign up for some involvement in any of these life domain networks. And then we'll try and make that happen. But do I have your permission to do that? Any dissenters should go right there, put it crossed by their name. Don't want to be involved. That's fine. Okay, we'll certainly do that. We will certainly have more events like this. Not exactly sure what the next step is, but if people want to be part of the person-centered planning bit, someone in the room must know when the next network meeting is. Who's got their diary handy? I have to get mine out. Shall I get mine out and I can just tell you? And then you can just turn up, find out what's going on, and get involved if you want to, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. Right. The network I'm referring to is this. So let's just see where the next one is. Here we are. It's the 27th of July. It's at 10 o'clock, and it's in the Oxleys Trust headquarters meeting room, which is 2 Newman Road, right next door to Bromley North Station. Anybody wants to get that address again, just come up to me afterwards. You'll be very welcome.
What time is it?
10 o'clock. 27th of July. Okay, I think we have one very important duty to fulfill now, and then we can stop, go home, clear up, do whatever you want to do afterwards. Paula, come up here. I think that for someone to stand up here from 10 o'clock this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon, be erudite and as clear as that, she deserves sore hats. Something like this, you never know exactly how it's going to turn out.
Just say thank you to Dawn as well and to yourself for organising it.
Getting the registration sorted out for us and everything. Whoever's played a part, not least Oxley Supply Department, who got it late. I will ring them next week. If anybody wants a copy, we'll make a DVD of this. And then if you've got friends or colleagues who didn't want to come today, or who would find this too much or difficult, or whatever, it will be available. It might take us a couple of months to get it sorted, but it will be there. Lastly, thank you all for coming. And by all accounts, it sounds like you had a useful day.